So when I went back, everything was good for a while, a good year maybe. And then after that year, 2 years, management kind of changed. And everything around me started changing. And I started changing. And in order for me to phase out what I was saying before, I made myself go part-time. And I literally wasn't full-time for a long time anyway. But I made myself go part-time. And I was like, me and my plans, I'm like, I'm going to go part-time. And I'm going to make myself leave here. Because I knew I didn't want to be here as long as I was. And I was kind of dragging it out, and I didn't know why I was dragging it out. So I then got to work only 3 days a week. So I'm like, okay, God, I'm only working 3 days a week. This will be fine. But then that's when they changed it. I'm thinking I'm going to work 3 days a week and be off 4 days. I can start my business and I can work for myself for 4 days and work here 3 days, and that'll be fine. That'll be sufficient for me. Again, with management, they changed it. No more working just 3 days a week. You have to go back to working 5 days a week. You know how much gas that is? Anyway. Yeah, I'm that person. So, even with the working 3 days, I was already struggling with like babysitting and stuff like that. Because once I went back, Riley started school, and that was another thing. So when she first started school, it was good because I was off Monday through Thursday, and I would be able to take her to school and pick her up from school, and I didn't need help. So I just needed somebody on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, which was awesome. But it was also me not being with my child on the weekends when she wasn't at school. So you're at school Monday through Friday, and then your mom is at work the weekend. Now, granted, I've always, no matter what, first priority, Riley. But to me, I feel like the mom that I wanted to be, I wasn't coming home tired from a job and, oh, maybe we can do it another time. Now, granted, as much as I work my ass off for a job, I work my ass off 20,000 times more as being a mom. If you know me, if you watch me through social media, you can see and tell and know that everything I do is Riley. But it still was not sufficient enough for me because I was still being pulled away from my child at the end of the day. And most people do work. I'm not knocking you. But the type of mom that I am and the type of help that I had, it was starting to become crazy for me. And that leads me to my Bible. So I kind of was reading things that resonated with me, and that happens a lot. I get a lot of signs from God, and at first I thought I was crazy with that too, but he literally shows me different things, and I'd be like, damn, that was really pertaining to me. So I started to get anxiety. I didn't know what it was. Gotta get my glasses back. I was working at a place where I was missing out on a lot, and it is a normal job, you miss out on things. But it wasn't like I was missing out on friends and I was missing out on this and I was missing out on that. I think the realization really happened, and my anxiety was always there, but I think it really started to come out of the surface when I lost my grandma. And that topic alone is just a lot for me. But between working and go on my days off, I had to take her, as a family, we had to take her to see doctor after doctor after doctor after doctor, and I did not want to leave her side. So to know, as things changed at work, to know I was going to a place that really didn't care or give a fuck about what I was going through, that whole temperature in me changed, because it got me to be bitter and unhappy in the place that I was. So, as God prepared me unknowingly, after my grandma passed away, a lot of things transpired where I started to become a minimalist, and I started to minimalize the things that I was doing as far as finances. And in a crazy way, God was preparing me and I didn't even know. But as far as finances, as far as where I lived, I moved back home, not just for finance wise, but I moved back home because I felt like a shift was happening in my family and I needed to be the one to change it. That's another thing that I have to talk about, because my ass be trying to change everything. So as everything started to change and shift and so much started to happen, it was just like, this place is serving me financially, but this place is not serving me and my happiness. And I just wasn't happy anymore. And I feel like for 2 years, because it was 2019 when I finally, the end of 2019. For 2 years, I was going to a place that was no longer serving me. Sometimes it wasn't even serving me financially. So because I became a minimalist, a lot of things started to make sense and a lot of things started to fall in place, and I started to do things where I changed my thinking, and I changed the rooms that I sat in, and I changed the opportunity that was around me, and I started to change a bunch of things because this place was bringing me anxiety, and it was to a point where I had to ask my therapist, like, listen, I'm getting overwhelmed. I'm getting so overwhelmed that I need you to sometimes take me out of this place. And after that, God continued to speak to me as well, because I took a chance on myself, and that's when I started my business. And what happens is, like I said, I've always been the type of person that had something going on. So I've always been the person like, okay, you babysit my child, and in return, I'll babysit your child. Or I was just always the mom that, I'm doing mom stuff anyway, just send your kids over and we can all hang out. So one summer I had everybody's kids, and that next summer God allowed me to start my business. And as I started my business and I changed and shifted my mindset, I also started to do a lot of research on my own on real estate and different things of financial freedom. Another way that God hit me in the chest was the first government shutdown that I experienced. And I realized as I survived that shutdown and I saw the people around me, I'm like, I can do this. but I can't do it alone. So I waited on God and his timing. And I literally last summer, as I started my business, I went to work every morning, got off and watched kids once I was off of work. But every morning it was something different. And every morning when I went to work, it was just, for me, and if you know me or if you see me, you saw how some days I was just still, because I would literally go and be so unhappy, and I would literally go and I would be praying, God, please replace this opportunity. I don't want to just give up all the way, but please replace this opportunity. Please, I used to pray 3 R's, but I cannot remember all of the R's. But I know I would say replacement, and renewal, God. Replacement and renewal. Like every morning I would keep repeating it. I would be at work, keep repeating it, keep repeating, keep repeating it, keep repeating it. And little did I know it was going to take some time, but God was not done with me yet. So I was reading my Bible, and this is after I decided. But it said, God took time to enjoy the work of his hands, and we should do the same. In our passion to possess more and more, we often fall into a trap of working. And we never enjoy the fruits of our labor. Sometimes we should simply take time to relax and enjoy what we have accomplished. Boy, was that a word.